I think it is embarrassing for America. They're putting the best face on it because there is no love lost for Hezbollah in America. Let's be clear. Very few people here are mourning the loss of an individual, and also Iran is very much a pariah nation in the US, and Hezbollah is seen as a sort of wholly owned subsidiary, really,
Yeah.
of Iran. So, but you know, the trouble with the US is it doesn't want to act like it's ignorant of what's taking place in the Middle East. That's just embarrassing, and also there are question marks over to what extent that is true. But it also doesn't want to look as if it has lost control of events. So, if it comes to targeted assassinations, well, I think in theory they wouldn't approve of the word assassination, but they're not mourning the death of Nasrallah, but they are very, very anxious about these perceptions.
Let's hear from Sarah Baxter, director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Hello, Sarah. It's been a while. Hello.
Yes, hello, Henry.
Thanks for joining us. Okay, so in headline terms, what are the US officials saying in response to what's been going on in the Lebanon and then the assassination of Nasrallah, which I understand they were not briefed about beforehand?
Well, so they say they're very, very keen to distance themselves from any involvement with the attack on Hassan Nasrallah. They say, though, that it was a measure of justice. I'd say this was a very measured statement. This is Joe Biden's statement about Nasrallah's death, that basically Biden is blaming Hezbollah for bringing this attack on itself by its alliance with its alliance with Hamas over the October the 7th massacre. So Joe Biden described that as a fateful decision to join in the attacks because, of course, immediately after the massacre on October the 7th, Hezbollah sent missiles over Israel and opened what it calls a northern front against Israel. So it says, well, Hezbollah only has itself to blame. But at the same time, you'll notice that once again, although Kamala Harris is on the same page as Joe Biden in all this, and is also talking about it being a measure of justice in that kind of measured way, she's also talking about wanting a diplomatic solution to the conflict, which is, they're very worried in the US about escalation now. And obviously the Lebanese are very much in the crosshairs of this conflict. The Lebanese Prime Minister has warned that you could have up to 1 million displaced people in Lebanon. And the last thing that Kamala Harris wants is for this to get out of hand, out of control, with another massive refugee crisis and civilian catastrophe in Lebanon, as there has been in Gaza. So there's this sort of there are qualified celebrations taking place, shall we say.
Qualified celebrations, Sarah.
Over Nasrallah's death.
Okay, maybe about the death of that individual, but what about the wider geopolitics and the fact that just some 3 or 4 days ago at the General Assembly, the USA and France and the UK and other allies called for a 21-day ceasefire, and that was hammered out behind the scenes apparently with the Israelis, and then only for Netanyahu to cock a snook at them at the UN General Assembly and then go ahead and agree the assassination plan. And the Americans are like blindsided.
Well, you say cock a snoop, indeed, because, it seems as if Netanyahu was actually using the fact that he was out of the country to catch Hezbollah unawares and, make the leaders feel that they could safely gather in a bunker, which was then hit with massive force by the Israelis, thereby not just killing the leader Nasrallah, but a lot of his henchmen and potential successors as well. So this is all, I think it is embarrassing for America. They're putting the best face on it because there is no love lost for Hezbollah in America. Let's be clear. Very few people here are mourning the loss of an individual, and also Iran is very much a pariah nation in the US, and Hezbollah is seen as a sort of wholly owned subsidiary, really, of Iran. So, but you know, the trouble with the US is it doesn't want to act like it's ignorant of what's taking place in the Middle East. That's just embarrassing. And also there are question marks over to what extent that is true. But it also doesn't want to look as if it has lost control of events. So, if it comes to targeted assassinations, well, I think in theory, they wouldn't approve of the word assassination, but they're not mourning the death of Nasrallah, but they are very, very anxious about these perceptions. And don't forget, we've got an election on in
Well,
the
indeed,
US.
yes, clock is ticking, Sarah. Now, how important is this, and I'll focus it, defense of Israel as an election issue that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats want to be seen as weak on?
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very difficult, which is why I think you'll find Kamala Harris walking, in a very cautious way across a tightrope there. She knows that within her own party there are a lot of critics of the Israeli response to the October 7th massacre. That the number of Palestinians killed has really shocked a lot of Democrats, and yet she keeps describing herself rightfully as one of Israel's strongest allies. And Donald Trump has an extra point that he can deploy, which is, of course, he maintains that he's a very strong ally of Israel. But he won he won an endorsement by a prominent Muslim mayor in Michigan. Because he's considered to be less implicated in what's going on in the Middle East, not being president, so he could, sound sympathetic, but also argue that he's going to bring these wars to the close.
Wow.
That there weren't, so the own, I mean, what phrase does one associate with Trump? What does he say time and again? Only I can fix it.
That's right.
Uh,
In
yeah,
24 hours.
Yes. So he's both announcing himself as the person who can fix Ukraine, and had the sort of cheek to say that to Zelensky's face very recently. And given that some of his settlement for Ukraine would be involving handing over chunks of it to Putin, who he praised at the same meeting with Zelensky. And then, of course, the Middle East, he's got the same attitude that, one, it wouldn't have broken out if he was president, and two, only he can fix it.
There you go, Sarah. It's all about the art of the deal, isn't it? There we go. Sarah Baxter, Director of the Marie Colvin Center for International Reporting. Thank you very much indeed. James in Berkshire says, Iran is a classic example of the destructive effect of dogmatic religious belief. They, as in Persia, used to be world leaders in philosophy, science, astronomy, etc. Now look at them. They spend all their energies worrying about what women wear, people's sexual preferences, refusing to allow women to be educated, and fighting anyone who doesn't agree with their religion. And this is the result. The sooner the world can rid itself of religion, the better. James in Berkshire, thank you very much.